All right, everyone, a bill has been introduced, a marijuana protections bill. And what this would do is allow states to legalize. They wouldn't be, headhunted after at the federal level for it. The federal government would essentially take a hands-off approach to the issue of marijuana. Right now, the biggest problem isn't at the state level. States can legalize, like here in Vermont, recreational marijuana will be legal next month in this state. It's decriminalized right now, it'll be legal. Right now, technically, though, a federal agent can still, put you in cuffs and drag you off to a jail cell for smoking weed. This bill would protect people who are using in states that have legalized it. It would also protect cannabis banks that do business with cannabis firms. They're free to do so. This would probably, by the way, lead to a TOS change on YouTube. Because then all these cannabis people, well, they're not breaking any federal law under U.S. law anymore, so it's okay. I hope YouTube realizes that and addresses the situation, by the way. They need, they lead the charge on like gay pride and transvestite rights and stuff like that. Why not marijuana? Like, something that's actually more substantial at this point because it's still an ongoing battle that hasn't been basically fully won. I would think that'd be important. So Trump has come out and said, yeah, I'll probably support this bill. And this was introduced by Elizabeth Warren and Cory Gardner, a couple of very liberal Democrats. And he's like, yeah, I'll probably support it in exchange for, basically, there was some obstruction going on led by Gardner of some of his appointees in retaliation for Jeff Sessions' spiel about marijuana. Because Jeff Sessions doesn't know anything about weed. Even his own staff were making jokes, apparently, and chastising him about the fact that it's like basically, hey, Jeff, you're living in reefer madness land. You don't know what you're talking about. You should fucking smoke a bong, and you'll see what marijuana is like, and you'll realize how fucking warped your worldview really is. Now, there's the other day, there was like Laura Ingraham. She's like, ooh, I'm really, really saddened to hear that Trump is going to back this. So, in other words, you want to see the federal government continue to headhunt after private businesses. Some conservative you are. You want them to go after a cannabis oil manufacturer or a bank that does business with a pot farm in a state where it's legal. What about states' rights? What about capitalism? Look, a free market that has been made illegal turns into a black market. That's the fundamental principle. It's not like people are going to smoke weed more because it's legal. If anything, it'll probably lead to a reduction in usage because you've taken the coolness factor away. Weed right now is still considered cool. Hey man, you want to try? It's marijuana. Wow, it's an illicit substance. You stop making it illicit, no one cares. You know what the face of marijuana will end up being? A cancer patient or some old granny with dementia. A kid who has seizures. That's the people they're using as medicine. Yeah, okay, recreationally it'll still be used, and it can be a fun plant, I guess, but I mean, I was never as much into the cannabinoids. I preferred the actual psychedelics. But yeah, it's certainly relaxing. Trust me, it's way less addictive than cigarettes. Way less addictive than wine, too. Trust me on that one. I haven't used marijuana since, 2010 or something, so no problems, but, yeah, people shouldn't be thrown in jail for it. Big win for Trump if he does end up backing it. Hopefully the Democrats don't torpedo their own bill by attaching fucking riders or something. And if the Republicans need to get on board with this. They've lost the marijuana argument. The moralists within the Republican Party. The Rands didn't lose because they were always on board. They're like, fuck it, who cares? The anti-capitalistic moral crusaders of the Republican Party, along with a few Democrats many years ago, have lost the issue. The vast majority of the American public now supports decriminalization of marijuana, the legalization of hemp and medical marijuana at least, and certainly the vast majority of people in the majority of states don't want the federal government handling it. They're like, take it to the states. It's a 10th Amendment issue. The federal government has no reason to legislate on any drug unless it's going across state lines anyway. I don't care if somebody decides that they want to shoot heroin. It's none of the federal government's business. The states should police that. It's the role of the states. And even then, the states need to use caution because you're violating people's human rights. When you're throwing someone in jail for 10 years because they have a bag of coke that they're obviously using for themselves, doesn't that fundamentally violate the principle of a society that values liberty at all anyway? It boils down, it's an ethical argument. It's a pragmatic argument because the drug war can never be won, especially with regards to marijuana. It's an argument of criminality. Look, you can divert more resources to fighting cartels that will begin losing large amounts of money if they don't have pot sales. Inner city gangs, they still do, they sell like the heroin and crack and stuff. They also sell pot. There's one less thing that they're going to be able to sell. make fewer things illicit, and you can focus more ably on the few that are left. Fight addiction if you want to. The opioid epidemic is a problem. Marijuana is not a problem in this country. Never a problem for me, until, post-OD, on a legal substance that was, fake weed, basically. That was perfectly legal at the time and fucked me up and almost killed me. Marijuana never did that. Marijuana just made me giggle for a few hours. Doesn't even last that long. In my opinion, it lasts a lot less time than most people report. Like for me, it's like, an hour and it's basically you're sober again, at least in my experience. And that was on the good shit. That was on I was getting high grade, top quality White Widow that was just dripping from its trichomes. And even then it's it's mind blowing, I guess, for a little while and then very quickly goes away. Also made my throat very dry. I wasn't using a vape or anything like that at the time. I did try that once. I actually didn't like the high as much when I vaped it. I think there's a difference. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm just not sure. I'm not exactly an expert on marijuana, having preferred the psychedelics. But the reefer madness stuff of Jeff Sessions and somebody like a Rush Limbaugh, and it's like, fuck you. You don't know anything. You're either you used it and you're pretending to be a moralist in order to get votes or money usually, or you've never used it and you're ignorant. So you need to go out and find your local hippie and get like a marijuana brownie or something. Fucking shut up about things you don't know anything about. And they use this same strategy. Like they'll even talk about some crazy liberal. They're like, well, you never worked a real job, so you shouldn't make any job related policies. Yeah, true. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've never smoked marijuana, so stop telling people how terrible it is. Laura Ingraham comes in, weighs in on a substance. She's probably tried it. She's just keeping up appearances. It's like the soccer mom bullshit temperance spew that you get from the liberals at this point. The Democrats are like, oh yeah, extremism is a problem, too much free speech, we need to restrict everything. They clutch their pearls. It's like, but then you have these idiots on Fox or a Rush Limbaugh, and they do the same thing. It's like Limbaugh, he's like a big anti-drug crusader, and then it's like, yeah, he's a total pill popper. He's a fucking junkie. He's an opiate addict himself, who still just doesn't fucking get it. He should have just smoked weed. He wouldn't have gotten addicted to these substances. So yeah, congrats to Donald Trump. It would be a huge victory. By the way, it would certainly help the Republicans with, the youth vote that they're increasingly capitalizing upon. You're breaking the Democrats' coalition up with a combination of pro-job creation and higher wages sort of rhetoric, and then, scaling back on the drug war. Biggest problem that Trump would have is if he allowed Jeff Sessions to run roughshod over things. The federal government shouldn't be involved in drug policy at all, except insofar as you're talking about the medical system. For people who just want to, grow a pot plant, no, it should be at the state level. Yeah, it's a 10th Amendment issue. It should be seen as one. It's an issue of capitalism. I dream of a future when a gay couple can guard their pot farm with automatic weapons. I think that that's a wonderful sounding society to me. So, yeah, I support this. It doesn't matter if it's like Warren and Gardner, who are a couple of kooks that authored the bill. It's like, oh, it's still a good idea. Cannabis banking, yeah. Why should, if it's legal in a state, why should the bank be attacked by the federal government for engaging in commerce that the state has made legal? Federal government can't even enforce the law anymore. If you can't enforce the law, then the law shouldn't be on the books. This, by the way, is how prohibition broke down. What you see now are the last remnants of what, 100 years ago would have been people saying, alcohol should be illegal. And when Prohibition ended, there were people that resisted that. They're like, no, now everyone will be drunk. It's like, no, they're just drunk in the open as opposed to in their closet. The same will be true with marijuana. It will actually ameliorate drug addiction in this country. It will certainly save a lot of resources. At the prison level, at the policing level, from the street to the fucking courtroom. It'll help unclog our courts. It'll be a good thing, and it'll be a huge American industry. We'll be selling pot to other countries very soon, trust me. Oh yeah, U.S. top quality hydro will be very, very popular in some other countries where it's still illegal. Although I think other countries will end up following suit. As the U.S. goes, so goes a bunch of other nations. Pretty soon, you're going to see, Netanyahu will be getting together with the leader of the PLO, and they'll be, smoking hash together on live TV. And it'll be very funny, and some of that's hippie utopian nonsense, but it'll be interesting to see. That's about all. Peace out.